and they asked for the date of birth, and they said their date of birth, and they said their age, and they didn't match. So they were like, your age and date of birth don't match. And then they said, oh, the first year doesn't count.
Post-show, like, I don't get post-show blues. I get, like, post-show overthinking. Like, I'll sit there and I'll be like, oh, but in that rehearsal, I just... And, like, could I have done more to make that person think like this? Or
we do sometimes the mistake of assuming that the person is going to be like that for the rest of their lives. When actually, I think it really depends. And I think we do need to be more flexible about that kind of thought process.
And then I'm not even lying. The last minute of that scene, I was speaking like this. I was literally like this.
Oh gosh, is that about your dad?
Yes, it's about my dad. It was
that day.
Brilliant.
I mean,
oh fucking hell.
hello everyone, good afternoon, and welcome to another Pursuit by Dragons podcast. We're so happy to be here again with another podcast this week on a very quite important topic called mistakes, which we all do, and it's fun. So just to introduce the people who are here with us today, we have Joshua Wainwright and Yeva Ungurinte and myself. We are members of the Pursuit by a Dragon theatre company. Josh is a director, actor, and lighting designer for the company, and Yeva is our social media coordinator and also an amazing performer as well. Alongside, we also have the amazing Taz Long with us, director and actor, who she had kindly decided to join us today for this talk. So Taz, thank you very much for being here. Good. And so we're talking today about mistakes, and these come in all sort of different forms, which are not necessarily theatre based. So I just would like interested to know with everyone, what kind of mistakes do you think like you do on a daily basis? You know, like those things when someone say, oh, you don't put those socks the right way and should have put that way, and then you realize that's a mistake I've done the whole of my life.
I have one. While setting up, because I have to, like, my laptop's usually there, but I had to set up so I have like nice lighting and stuff. And I was rolling up the blinds and I snapped the blinds cord. So that happened to me.
I did the exact same thing with my blinds about 2 days ago. Now I can't open them properly. Hence why the lighting in my room is so funny.
Okay.
That's your mistake, Josh.
That's my mistake.
Mine's a bit deeper, but I just want to say, as my first thing, I just really appreciate that Taz is here with us today, because I really wanted to have her on our podcast like weeks ago. I was like, can we have Taz? Yeah. Now my daily mistake is overthinking, but I finally started managing to catch myself when I do that and stop doing that. And because you basically, with overthinking, you create problems that are not there, but you roll that into, it's like, I don't know, making a cake. Like you add one ingredient after another and you have these like non-existent situations in your head, and then you stress yourself out.
Yeah.
So I start catching myself every time I do that, and I'm like, what are you doing? Stop. You need to stop. And that happens usually before going to bed, and it makes it really difficult to fall asleep, because it's just like your head is constantly on a flow. It's thinking and it's dropping these thoughts into your head. So that's really difficult. And yeah, and I think that I manage usually, but sometimes it's difficult. But yeah, it's not that much of a mistake, it's just like a habit, I guess. But yeah, trying to work that out.
I was just going to say, like, because you mentioned about habits, like, I think sometimes that mistakes can, like, dual as habits. Like, for me, for example, like, one of my biggest habits is apologizing. Like, I just apologize about everything when not everything needs apology. And so a lot of the time when, you know, I want people to trust me, for example, in a rehearsal room when I'm directing, like when I want people to trust me, you need to have a certain confidence to yourself. And I feel like a lot of the time, one of my biggest mistakes, which is also a habit of mine, is it kind of comes from overthinking as well, which is like, it's a barrel effect from overthinking. I just keep saying like, oh, sorry if this sounds stupid, or like, sorry that I'm interrupting, or sorry. And it's just like, no, just say what you need to say, believe in what you're going to say. And I think, yeah, that's one of the biggest things that I do on daily. But I'm starting to combat it. Josh and Pedro have witnessed firsthand me during CDRP in third year, where I literally would just, after everything I'd say, I'd be like, why are you apologizing? Why are you apologizing? And just have a little mini pep talk with myself. And yeah, that's my new thing. I just kind of take myself to the side and I'm like, stop doing that. No, it's very stupid. And then inner me's like, but I can't. And then yeah,
I guess
it's a barrel roll.
I thought that it's a bit of a British thing to do when I came here. Like, I thought that people just say sorry because it's in their vocabulary a lot, like it with the like, sorry, how are you, and you have these little things in a sentence that you don't really mean, because sometimes you say, oh, I'm sorry, but you're actually not. That's why I encountered a lot, especially in like hospitality and stuff. Like, when you say I'm sorry, you know, it's like you're not sorry, you're Karen. But yeah, and when I came here also, I thought that when people say, hi, how are you, they want to stop and talk to me, to be like, oh, how are you doing, and then talk. But then it's just like, and then they keep going down the stairs, and I'm like, wait, so he asked me how am I doing, so let's talk now. But now I'm so used to it that, yeah, just like, but I still don't say how are you a lot. I'm like, hi, and that's it. Like, that's it for me.
I made the mistake of falling for one of my castmates. That's fun.
Classmate?
Castmate.
Yeah, castmate.
Oh.
Look.
Oh, did we talk about this on the dating one?
We did, yes. I'm not going to go too much into it, but we all know. I just
check that podcast out. Check that podcast out.
It's not my turn to embarrass.
Funny.
I have been in similar situations. It's not ideal. Let's just say that. I feel like, you know, there's sometimes where if there's a romantic or sexual tension in the rehearsal room, like, it can amplify certain scenes, like it can actually make them better. But I think in terms of like, not characters, actors, like the interpersonal things of like actors in a room, as a director on looking, like, you can tell when it's messing up the vibe. Like, you're sitting there like, and they think you don't know, but you're sitting there like at the chair like, I'm aware, don't you worry. I'm aware. I'm clued in.
But to be fair, I'd rather to be attracted to someone I have to like, sometimes you get that script where you have to be intimate, you have to be like
possibilities.
In a physical contact. I'd rather find that person attractive. For me, it would make it easier, because we would like feeling lonely at parties, the previous version, it was me and another girl, and it was a good experience because I really had to push myself out of my comfort zone, and sort of like take myself to another world where I would be in this relationship. But it wasn't easy. Or I guess it doesn't have to be easy, but it's easy. It's better if you are actually like attracted to someone. And also hygiene, you know, when you like in the rehearsal room, like, for fuck's sake, like, that's like an important thing for me. Like, I never understood why in Lithuania, when we had rehearsals, when they said like no jewelry, you know, no strong perfume, no nothing, like your hair has to be up and everything. And I was like, why does it matter? But now because we never had these like very close roles, so you would never like smell someone or had to like touch them or whatever. It was more like a dialogue, just like standing in front of each other. Yeah, that's okay. But here, like, I get that, and like personal hygiene is such an important thing. That's a bit off topic, but I just want to mention that it's such an important thing.
Wash yourself.
Wash yourself.
To an extent, just 1 second. To an extent, rehearsal rooms are meant to get sweaty. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Use your deodorant, but at the same time, if you're coming out of there after a long rehearsal and you're bone dry, have you really been working?
Mm-hmm.
Have you really been putting your all into it? Because sometimes as well, it doesn't even have to be like jumping up and down. Like I've done scenes or directed scenes where like the fact that you're using your brain so much and trying to like bend to these new situations and adapt to, you know, roles that maybe you haven't explored before, or maybe you've explored them so much that you're at a point like, where else can I go? We've all been there. That like the fact that I'm using so much brain power has made me literally be sitting there like, I'm boiling, open the windows. Yeah, I mean, to an extent, I think it's a good sign, no? But wear your deodorant,
Yeah, I mean, prior to the rehearsal. And that's why I get really annoyed when I walk into a rehearsal room and there's like dust that, you know, when like, especially on holidays when we had to rehearse at uni and no one's clean, like all the cleaners are on holidays as well. And it's tiring. It's making it,
That's a mistake.
It still matters.
I do think. Ooh, sorry. Ooh.
Go on.
If I am being blunt, I do think that like Yeva is the more slightly higher maintenance person when it comes to these kind of things. Because when me and Brian have been on stage, we are both very sweaty people, and like if he doesn't want this in there, I'll cut it out. But like there was a time when we were doing the sex scene and he actually salivated into my hair.
Oh no!
Like I saw like a saliva strand just kind of go into my hair, and his face was like, he was really into it. They saw it happen, and his face just felt like dropped. He was like, "I'm so sorry." So,
you both know it's happened, but neither one of you want to mention it, innit?
I mean, it was a sex scene. How can it just be? Yeah. I found it really funny.
I had the same thing, but it went on the floor. It was just like, oh, I just spat.
I think we get like this kind of culture, let's call it like culture of mistakes, is something that we learn, or it's used as a sort of education since we're children. And it's something that then delves into our kind of childhood and and us growing up. So it'll be interesting what you guys thinking about, like when parents are educating, saying that's a mistake, don't do that. But then later you realize, well, I perhaps needed to do that, or I need to do that now. How do you come about breaking those boundaries and really coming up with those, if that made any sense?
Mm-hmm. I get you. I feel like I'm very grateful to my parents because they let me make all sorts of mistakes, but it was never I mean, if it was a serious kind of like, if I would have stolen something or injured someone, like attacked someone or whatever, or bullied, then I would have been in trouble. But all these like, oh, get good grades, you know, don't talk to this person, blah, blah. It was never like that. It was kind of like, let these mistakes happen and then you're gonna learn. Because if you're never gonna learn, that's why I feel not very good about parents who keep their children by their side all the time, like, don't go to this party, you know, don't do this, don't do that. Let children do everything. They will, it's like, oh, don't run, and they won't listen to you because they're gonna run till they're gonna fall and they're gonna hurt themselves, and then maybe they're gonna stop running. So I feel like with children, you shouldn't stop them from making mistakes, and that's because for me that's the only way to learn. I never learned I rarely learn from someone else's mistakes. Like I see, okay, they did that, and that's what happened. These are the consequences. But there's only so much you can see. And I usually learn from, if I fuck up, then I know, okay, I'm not gonna do this anymore.
I learned, not that's not how I wanted to open. It's not I learned. I noticed that like there are also the types of people that do make mistakes but never own up to them.
That is annoying.
Yeah, I do have one particular relative that I won't be too specific about because they
Is
probably
that the Facebook one? Is that a Facebook one?
not that one, not that one.
Okay.
Everyone watching the podcast is just rushing to Josh's Facebook to find out who it is.
There was a case, you know.
But like, yeah, there was this time where they were talking about, I think it was something to do with finance, and they asked for their date of birth, and they said their date of birth, and they said their age, and they didn't match. So they were like, your age and date of birth don't match. And then they said, oh, the first year doesn't count.
That's not how it works.
I'm not
No,
sure.
I know a couple of people who would disagree.
But like, as soon as they said that, they realized that obviously wasn't how it works. They probably
They
just
knew they
panicked.
were wrong,
Yeah.
but they didn't want to say
But
it.
they kept going. Like, they
Yeah.
were really adamant about it.
It's pride.
The first year doesn't count, and the earth is flat.
You know, like, I think I relate to Yeva's situation in the fact
You have
that,
a
like,
very good relationship with your parents, like I do.
Yeah.
I feel like we're in the same.
my parents, like, they were. I'm so lucky in the fact that, like, they were like the cool parents. Like, when I was younger and everyone needed like somewhere to stay at after the party because their parents would have killed them, my parents were like, come in, children, come in, let's all. That sounds really dodgy. they were like the parents that, you know, were a bit more laid back, but it wasn't in the sense that like they would never, you know, have a go at me or anything. It was just that they kind of wanted me to go out, do the things, and then come back and be like, Mom, and they're like, well, now you know. Like, I told you so, those sort of parents. But like, they would never, like you said, yeah, but like, I never really had that sort of, oh, like, you must get this good grade. It was always, you know, you must do the best you can do. And so then I never felt like, oh my God, I have to get an A. And so therefore it felt like pressure to get an A, but it just felt like you have pressure to do the best. And I feel like that's the reason why I apologize now, is because I feel like I've been told my whole life, like, just do your best. And then when I feel like I'm not, or sometimes I feel as though, like, even if I feel like I'm trying really hard, I always think there's a way that I could be trying harder. Do you know what I mean? Or like, there's a way that I could be doing more. And because of that, I consistently apologize. But the thing that I've learned is that the more I apologize, the more I don't believe in what I'm doing, and therefore I won't keep going at, and I won't keep searching for that thing that I could do more, or that thing that I could do better. So it's like I'm almost halting myself, whilst it's just a strange psychology, but I'm working on it. So we're going to get there eventually, ladies and gentlemen, aren't we? We all are.
Yeah, we will. I get that parents thing, where I remember I was really struggling with maths, and my dad was just saying that just get the pass, just get a pass. Pass was, so we had like from 1 to 10, so 10 was the best and 1 was, so if you get below 4 you failed, so 4 was a pass. So my dad was like, just get a 4 or a 5, you know, just so it looks okay on your book, and you don't get that bad certificate, or, you know, just get a 4. You're better at other things, so, you know, don't worry too much about it, just get a pass. And because I wasn't enjoying it, I wasn't good at it, so why try to break yourself to, you know, I just wasn't a math person. Some people are math people, some people are more into languages and stuff, so I was more into languages and theater and all that jazz. But yeah, So, and my parents didn't pressure me at all. And I'm very thankful for that now.
My dad was, he's not a pressuring person at all, but he was always like consistently being like, just make sure you're applying yourself and all of the usual good parent stuff. But like, I have noticed that it's giving me a similar sort of habit to Taz, in that until recently I found that I did apologize for things I didn't need to. Like for some reason, whenever you make a minor trip up, you do make it a big thing, and it draws attention to your mistakes and it takes away from the positive things you've done. And I know that, like, for example, I'll be doing the National Youth Theatre next year, the backstage one. And all I could think of at the time was how I just fluffed the monologue I did because I did both the acting and the backstage audition. I was mainly focused on how I fluffed up the acting bit, because I kind of like forgot my lines for a sec, and then it really threw me off because I was like, well, this is a big thing. And as soon as I stopped, you just feel like that flood of adrenaline and anxiety just collapse everything in you, and it's like, oh god, what do I say? What do I say? What do I say? Okay, I'll go. So I do think owning up to your mistakes is great. It shows that you're perfectly willing to accept that, you know, you're not perfect. But at the same time, there is a different side of your ego that comes into it when you like point out your mistakes to everyone. Because nowadays it is relatable to be that kind of imperfect person that's like, it can be a little bit, and I'm using this term very loosely, it can be like a tiny bit attention seeking, at least how I see it. Because when I've done it in the past, it just brings attention to something that doesn't need attention. And I think it's to like make up for me not believing in myself in other areas.
Did you just psychologically read me? Thing is, is that like I will sit here and I will tell you that like anyone who knows me, I'm not gonna lie, like I love being the center of attention. Who doesn't? We're theatre people, let's be honest. But I actually think that mine, like, it manifests itself in the way that it seems, or that it is attention seeking. But I think my incessant need to apologize comes from a deep rooted like insecurity about my talent. Like, anyone who knows me, my biggest mistake of all is the fact that I am continuously just self-doubting, like, and it's so frustrating because I have moments where like the show will happen, a show that I've worked so hard on will happen, I'll be so proud of the actors, I'll be so proud of the designers, and I'm just sitting in the audience going, oh, I love you all, and in that moment I'll be so proud of like what we've accomplished as a team. But then over time, like, I don't know if anyone else has this, I'd be interested to hear if this is like a universal thing or whether this is just a Taz thing, because she tends to drive herself a bit crazy. But post-show, like, I don't get post-show blues. I get like post-show overthinking. Like, I'll sit there and I'll be like, oh, but in that rehearsal, I just, and like, could I have done more to make that person think like this, or could I have done more to support that person in this? Like, I don't know whether it's also kind of like a director's thing, like, because you're overseeing all of the actions that are taking place, I kind of like can cherry pick moments where I could have been much more useful to others in the group, which is like, it's great that I'm learning from those mistakes and going, right, well, next time I will look deeper into that. But at the same time, you sit there and you think, I'm clouding this achievement so much because all I'm thinking about is what I haven't done. Why don't I think about what I have done? And that is my biggest mistake, I think. But I don't know if it's more of a habit than a mistake.
Yeah, I definitely think, and I definitely kind of agree.
No, got some interruptions there, darling.
No. I definitely agree, and I think it's always a balance, and I totally agree with Taz. I think there's something just kind of doing the show. You're like, this is actually quite good. Self-doubt, bye. But at the same time, I think once you go after it, and especially when you get like feedback sometimes, especially if you're in university and you get your grades, and sometimes it doesn't match, I think it's always good in a way to have an evaluation, and it's always kind of finding a balance. And it seems really cliche, but it's really accepting what we need to do more and what we need to do less, because then I think sometimes I have like the common reaction of blaming myself for the things I should have done, or like that specific thing. But then if we think about it, actually, then that just kind of goes away quite quickly, because then I think about something else and I blame myself for it, or I'm overthinking, but then that just goes quickly because it's another thing. So it's like a cycle, and it's such like a vicious cycle. And sometimes I just think there just needs some balancing in terms of like, that was great, that was quite cool. But actually moving forward, I just need to be thinking about these subjects, because then it like mess around with mental health and all that jazz, and we know how that works.
One of my mistakes that I wish I didn't do, especially when it comes to looking for jobs, is really selling myself short, because I know how much I don't know about that job yet. I usually work in hospitality, and because I don't know how their bar works, so I'm not going to say I have loads of experience, because I don't know what it's like to work there yet. And it's stupid, because I have worked in a... Are you okay, Eva? You're a very long stare.
She's...
You okay?
And you muted me.
I didn't mute you.
Or someone did. I don't know why I went muted. No, I'm fine.
This is one for the edits. So yeah, it was mainly about like just selling yourself short, and I feel like you do that in a lot of things. Like, you, I mean plural. Just because like we know that the people at the top, like, I know that I'm not the best lighting designer. I know what a good lighting designer looks like, and because I'm not there yet, I automatically put myself down for not being automatically at the top. Like, why? It's so stupid.
I think one of our biggest, well, I mean, I'm going to speak for myself, but like from conversations I've had with people around me and some of you guys as well, like, I think in terms of selling ourselves short, like one of the biggest issues we have as artists that are trying to like come up, trying to emerge from the depths of university, is that like we consistently measure our success by the success of others, and at the end of the day, like, your success should be weighted by your passion and how much you want to do these things, how much you're willing to put effort in until you are the greatest, not whether you're the greatest yet. Because even the greatest starts off somewhere. You don't just pop out the womb like, hey, get me those birdies, let me light the show. Do you know what I mean? Like, everyone has to start somewhere. And I was having a conversation with my mum the other day. We were kind of like chatting about the journey I've gone on over the past 3 years of the degree, and the fact that, you know, when I was younger, I played so many roles that I hated, I despised, because it's just, you know, you just have to work up somehow. It's the same as if you were in a business startup. You don't start off as the manager, you start off as the intern. But it doesn't mean that the intern is any less passionate about the subject than the manager is. So I think something that is like really valuable to start doing as an emerging artist is start looking at your work and going, you know, I love that I really, really meant what I said in that show, or I love that the message I really wanted to convey, I got through to the audience, or I love that I had so much fun doing that project. Because it's more about like, there comes a point in theatre where it's more about the interpersonal skills than it is about like the actual talent. Because as a director, I can tell you 100%, I would rather work with someone who I enjoy the company of than someone who is amazing but will treat me like gum on the bottom of their shoe. And a lot of being a director is people management. a lot of it is just understanding the people around you. And I think that goes to show, like, theatre is very much an interpersonal field. It's not always quantified by, like, who's at the top of the food chain, because the top of the food chain could simply be someone who is extremely passionate, but at the bottom of the food chain could also be someone who literally loves what they do and just wants to share it with the world. So,
and I think sometimes what happens as well for people who are extremely committed as well, I think that the fact that we don't see someone being as committed as us, we do sometimes the mistake of assuming that the person is going to be like that for the rest of their lives, when actually I think it really depends. And I think we do need to be more flexible about that kind of thought process, because I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years. I don't know if I'll still be doing theatre. I mean, I hope I do, but I don't know if I'll be like, I'm going to take a nap for 6 years now, bye. But like, you know what I mean? It's just, and then those people will be kind of working hard. So, I mean, I said, I get it, but at the same time, I think we're at different stages, really.
I have a question. That was said so strangely. So this one's a tad more lighthearted in the fact that, like, have you ever just made stupid mistakes on stage before? I have one that was semi-recent that I haven't actually spoken about because I hope no one noticed it. So I did this project with the 12 different languages and all of that. It's not particularly important what the play was about. So backstage before my poem, there was this bottle of water on the side with its lid off. And as I walked past, I was like getting my chain ready so I can go on the stage. And as I was fumbling about, I knocked the bottle of water over, and like the table was around my crotch level. So
I didn't notice that. You just told me. I didn't notice.
I'm glad, because basically I knocked the bottle of water over. Not loads came out, but enough spilled onto my crotch. So I just had to just walk out on my poem. Looked like I just wet myself.
Oh no.
But no one said anything, so thank God for that.
I remember the Camden Fringe run of Feeling Lonely at Parties, and I just walked off stage when I wasn't supposed to. And you know when you're going and you realize that's not what you're supposed to do, but it's too late, because it's gonna look worse that I'm coming back than if I just continue doing what I'm doing. And I go backstage and people are like, what the fuck? What are you doing? But that was just like for 1 minute. And then they're like, no, it's fine, don't worry. You know, when it's just like that moment. And then I went to Yusuf after the show and I was like, I'm so sorry. For me, it seemed like that was the highlight of the show. You know, no one even knew, no one noticed, no one even realized that was that it wasn't supposed to happen. But for me, it was like, oh my God. And then the whole evening was, I fucked up. I did it. I walked off stage. How did I not notice? But then next evening, I knew exactly that. So kind of learned from it. Like, it was a good thing at the end.
I think, I think, no, yeah, definitely. And sometimes like there's sort of mistakes which are quite fun, but also depends on the director. Like you start laughing on stage, and that's that. I was once doing this scene. It's a bit of a disclaimer. It's a bit of a sexy scene, let's say, and I should just have like sort of a graphical idea. It's so I was sat, and then there was kind of this girl who was sat on my lap, and then she took a finger of Nutella and was supposed to put it in my mouth. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then we didn't and that was our problem. We didn't rehearse that scene as much, and we just had one presentation. So when we actually got to do that, we were we were looking eye in the eye, and we really had to stay focused, not to laugh at a specific scene, because I mean, it was cringy, but the play really asked for that, and I mean, we could have decided not to do it, but it was quite important that we did it. But yeah, I think that happened. But also another thing I think it's fun is when something happens that, like, a mistake happens that is not, you didn't do it, but also how you go around with it. And I would like to hear your experiences, but just like quick one. I was once doing a play, and then I had the line, and the line was giving a cue for a lighting and the sound cue, so I could go off the stage. And my teacher at the time, he was he was on Facebook while he was operating the lights. So, and poor man, I love him. And I said the line for the cue, and then the audience is staring. Nothing is happening. I start improvising. I say the final line again. Nothing's happening. I storm off stage. I like my castmates, guys, I don't know what's going on. Because after that was a scene change actually, and we needed to go and change the set. The moment I'm stepping out of the stage, the lights go down, the music starts. My castmates turn me around, push me to the stage. I almost fall on the floor, and that scene change was awful. But it was fun. And I thought that show went bad, but at the end, our teacher said, "I'm very proud, it was the best show you've ever done." I was like, really?
I remember one mistake.
I had a mistake. My mistake was, to be fair, it's not really a mistake because I couldn't really control it. But in college, I played this part where I was a judge in a courtroom, and I was meant to be this like big burly man, because everyone knows apparently people love to cast me as men, but it's a favourite thing to do. I don't have a problem with it, but it's a favourite thing to do. Not saying I get typecast or anything, but I was meant to be this big burly man with this big deep accent, right? And the day before the show, I had such when you can feel like your throat is starting to hurt, and you're like, no, I'm not gonna let you do this. I'm not gonna allow it. And so then I literally, the whole next day, we're meant to be rehearsing. I was like, I'm not speaking. I'm sorry, you're going to have to do it without me speaking. You're just gonna have to stand there in silence. I'm gonna drink water all day. And then it got like halfway through the day, and I felt my throat getting better. So I was like, right, let's just rehearse, and I'll just do it with my voice. And then that was the mistake I made, because once I got on stage that night, and bear in mind it was the last scene, and in this show I had about 8 parts, like we were all multi-rolling, so my voice was just doing like topsy-turvy. Like one time I was this merchant lady, and I had a really voice like this, and then the next moment I was like this like dainty girl, and I was like, hello. And then the next one I was like, oh no! And it was just like my voice was just strained the entire way through. Got to the end, I'm stood on my podium, and literally I got halfway through the scene, we're about 2 minutes to the end, and I can just feel it doing this. And then I'm not even lying, the last minute of that scene, I was speaking like this. I was literally like this. And it was in a theatre of like 140 seats. And I literally was incoherent for the last minute of it. And the whole time I could see my tutor in the audience, like just staring at me like, I was like, I can't. And then I came off stage and I had no voice. And then, oh God, there's just been so many. And another one that I had was when I was in a show in my local theatre, I basically told myself that I would be okay because I was meant to be acting, which is really odd. This was a long time ago, so just bear that in mind. I was meant to be acting a blind woman. Josh is like, I was meant to be acting a blind woman, right? And they gave me like a stick, and they gave me glasses, right? Sunglasses. And obviously I have glasses, and I can't put sunglasses over my glasses. So I was like, no, it's fine. I want the role. I'll do it. I don't need my glasses. I'll be fine. Bear in mind, the scene change happens in the dark, which is already hard enough when I have my glasses on. And I just tripped. Loud thud in the dark for the whole audience to hear, because I was in sunglasses on stage in the dark, blind. So yeah, that was fun. There are a couple of my mistakes.
I remembered something that happened we're talking about audience stuff, so in our version of the possibilities.
Oh gosh, is that about your dad?
Yes, it's about my dad. It was
That day.
Brilliant.
I mean,
oh fucking hell.
I was next to him actually.
I'm out of the loop here, so
torturer scene. Me and Rebecca are both a torturer.
yeah.
And the first line Rebecca has is, they said if they came here, you would have a room, have your room. But she says it to the audience member closest to her wherever she is.
Oh, no.
And it happens to be my dad.
No.
And she said the line to him, and then he looks at her and just goes, so she says, they said if I came here, you would have a room. Have you a room? And my dad just goes, no.
No.
And that was the day Josh's dad earned all of our respect. It was like,
oh,
so brave.
My dad would do, honestly.
and then I had the next line as well, so I was just like internally creasing into the next dimension, but just going along and saying my lines. He felt really embarrassed later, and I said it was fine. So.
Oh no, that was absolutely fine. Like, we wouldn't have a story right now if it wasn't because of your dad.
Just in terms of references for our audience who is watching us or listening to us, just like in terms of the display, or who will watch us actually, these plays that we kind of mentioned, Possibilities by Howard Barker, Crave, and Cleansed by the lovely writer that is Sarah Kane. And we already been speaking a lot, and it's been a really lovely and chatty conversation. We're getting almost pretty much the end of our podcast. So just as a final topic, a question that I always kind of think about, which is, I think we can all kind of relate. How are your thoughts, guys, about, those mistakes that you do once, you do twice, you do 3 times, and then you can see it coming a 4th time, but you still got to do it, and you got to do it, and you got to, okay, let's do it again.
I'm the queen of this, Pedro. I mean,
take it away, queen.
Everyone, look, I think something, I mean, I don't know whether it's theatre people in general, but I feel like it's breeded like this sympathetic type of person in me, where like I just consistently give just way too many chances. Like, you're there like, don't mess with me the 134th time, because then it's over for you. Like, I've given you this many chances, but one more time. And I, like, for example, I'm the sort of person, I had to break up with my boyfriend 4 times. 4 times. That is the mistake you make. That is the mistake you make over and over again. But guys, it's okay. But like, yeah, I'm that sort of person. I have an issue, and also in like a more light-hearted version. Does anyone ever do that thing where, like, say there's a food that you love, but like it makes you feel really unwell? So like for me, it's orange juice. I can't drink orange juice. I'm like basically allergic to it, but I love it. And I'll consistently make the mistake over and over again and be like, I can just have 1 glass. It's okay. Like, I can have 1 glass.
Just 1 glass.
And then 2 hours later, I'm like,
yeah, okay, orange juice. Alcohol. Yeah, okay.
Trust me, I don't stop myself from drinking alcohol. We all know that, don't we?
How's it coming to London as well then? How long? Couple of weeks?
A week. In.
Week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's wrap up.
So thank you to everyone who watched this today. Just a couple of things. Please do check our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Pursued by a Dragon, and website at pursuedbyadragon.com. And also check, please, our weekly workshop. Sign up for it. It's free. And come and learn some new skills with us. We had today Josh, and we had Yeva, and we had Taz, and we
Let's link Taz stuff.
Yeah, we will.
I'm at Taz Long on everything. I don't have professional personal accounts because I believe that people are as much artists as they are human. So hit me up.
I agree on that. If I want to rant on my Twitter and then post something arty, I shall be able to.
You're gonna see it both. You get both. You don't get one or the other.
You get the best of both worlds.
Yeah. So we shall see you all next week. for another episode of Podcast by a Dragon.
Bye. Thanks
Thank
for all,
you.
guys.
And make mistakes.